welcome to the Good Fight Sports Podcast, your home for local sports here in the 574. Hello and welcome to episode number 24 of the Good Fight Sports Podcast. We just keep chugging along here. My name is Kenny Cramer. I am the host of this show. If you don't know what it is, we do local sports here. We cover high school sports, Notre Dame football, basketball, really any Notre Dame athletic event thing we cover. We also do cover the local pro teams. Not really local because we don't have any here. But yeah, so we're going to jump right in. We got some breaking news here that just happened a few days ago, actually. So, if you guys are not aware of the conference realignment going on in college football, this is just insane what's going on. Look it up when this episode is over. Look it up. That way you know about it. We're going to go right in. The ACC has decided to expand. They are adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. If you don't know what SMU stands for, it's Southern Methodist University. Those three teams have been voted into the ACC starting in 2024. I believe, if I remember correctly, North Carolina and Florida State were the two schools that voted against these two coming in. All the rest voted in favor of this. And with this means that now the Notre Dame-Stanford rivalry will be considered, quote, a conference rivalry for Notre Dame, even though, as you guys probably all know, that Notre Dame is not in the ACC in football. They are independent, but they are tied to the ACC, meaning that Notre Dame needs to play, I believe, at minimum 5 ACC teams a year in order to, kind of get the benefits of the ACC without really being in the ACC. With these additions too, the ACC will now be at 18 teams in 2024. Which this is just insane what's going on with these the conference realignment. We are starting to narrow down the Power 5 to the Power 4, because now the Pac-12 is officially down to just Oregon State. That's it. Actually, no. It's actually Oregon State and Washington State that are the teams that are left. So there's two. It's the Pac-2 now. We're down to the Pac-2. I almost would consider them going to the Mountain West Conference. It would be the best fit for them, even though yes, they blew out the teams they were playing this weekend. Well, technically last weekend. But in any sense, the Mountain West would be the best option for them. You've got teams over there that are really, really good, a.k.a. Boise State. They're consistent every year. If Oregon State and Washington State jump in there, I have no reason to believe they would be good fits in that conference. Or, decide, hey, be independent. Try the Notre Dame thing. It's not going to work out for them. I can guarantee you that. But, hey, that's an option for you. Now, we'll move on to our recap of high school football for Week 3. These are games that were played on September 1st. So, first off, we're going to start with LaVille, as we always do. LaVille defeated Pioneer Friday. That is September 1st, by the way, 29-13. The Lancer defense was stout throughout the game, allowing just one rushing touchdown and forcing 3 turnovers. And especially in the fourth quarter, LaVille just as a team, started to dominate the game, both offensively and defensively against the Panthers. And the Panthers had no response for the Lancer offense. The offensive line for LaVille just started to pound the Panthers, and they were visibly tired. Hands on the hips, taking a little bit longer to get up and stuff like that. And so scoring-wise, in every quarter, kind of break down the score, how it went. First quarter, tied at 0. Just both teams trying to figure out each other, seeing if there was a crack or something they could focus on and a weakness that they can expose throughout the game. The Lancers scored first in the second quarter with a field goal. Pioneer then responded immediately with a touchdown to take a 7-3 lead. And right before halftime, the Lancers scored with 1 second left to make the score 10-7. And that was the score at halftime. And then in the third quarter, it was all LaVille. They put up 13 points, and they took a 23-7 lead into the fourth quarter. Pioneer did respond with a touchdown, but failed the extra point. And then LaVille went down and scored, but failed the extra point. So the final score in the game was 29-13. It honestly didn't feel as close as what the scoreboard led on. It just felt like LaVille just kind of dominated the game throughout, and which they did. And so LaVille's next game, which is this coming Friday, will be against Winnemac. Winnemac is 0-3, and this is a 7:30 kick at Lancer Field on the campus of LaVille High School. LaVille is favored by just 35 points. 38-3 is what the prediction says. My pick is going to be LaVille, and I'm going to take them 34-7. And then the next game for Pioneer is at Caston. Caston's 0-3, and this is a 7 p.m. kick at Caston. Pioneers favored by only 18 points in the game, 35-17. But I'm going to take Pioneer 48-6. This is going to be an easy win for the Panthers and also an easy win for the Lancers. Both teams have easy wins. However, easy wins are easily overlooked by some of the players and could be considered trap games. So LaVille's going to have to come out, ready to go, because they're going to get everything they got from Winnemac. And Pioneer's going to have to do the same. They're going to get everything they got from Caston. But I expect both teams to get easy wins this week, and Pioneer will move to 3-1, while the Lancers will move to 4-0. Now we're going to jump to Penn. Penn traveled down to take on perennial state powerhouse Indianapolis Cathedral Friday. That was September 1st. And they got obliterated 35-6. The game was never close. And the Fighting Irish led 35-0 going into halftime. And then the Kingsmen got on the board in the fourth quarter with only 6 points. Breaking down the score, again, kind of like we did for the first one for LaVille. First quarter, Cathedral was up 21-0. Second quarter, it was 14 points for Cathedral, so that made it 35-0 at halftime. Third quarter, no score for each team. This is also when the mercy rule would have kicked into place. If you guys don't know about the mercy rule has been around for, I believe, 2-3 years, and it's whenever a team gets up by 35 points. In the second half, there will be a running clock. Now, the thing they need to fix is, with the rule, the clock does not go back to normal when the team down by 35 gets it under 35 points. I believe they need to fix that. into if a team gets back to within 2 touchdowns, which would be 14 points, or 2 scores, either 2 touchdowns or 2 scores, the clock goes back to normal. If not, it will stay as a running clock. The clock only stops, I believe, if there's a timeout or an injured player. That's it. And a touchdown. That's the only time the clock stops, which makes the second half go by so much faster. It's really nice too. It's really nice. So the next game for Penn is this coming Friday against Hammond Morton. This is a newly scheduled game because Penn was scheduled to play Cincinnati St. Xavier, I do believe, and St. Xavier or Penn, one of the two, had to drop the game, and so Penn picked up Hammond Morton instead. Hammond Morton's 1-2. This is a 7:30 p.m. kick at Everwise Freed Field on the campus of Penn High School. Penn is only favored by 39 points in this game, 49-10, but give me the Kingsmen 52-7. And then Cathedral has a big matchup this coming Friday against their rivals, Bishop Chatard. I would consider this almost a holy war down there, one of the holy wars down there in Indianapolis. Cathedral's is favored by 21 points, 42-21, but give me Cathedral 45-31. I just think Cathedral's a little too tough. This will get Bishop Chatard to 1 loss and move Cathedral to 3-1. Both teams will be 3-1 by the end of this game. And then other local scores from the area. Brebeuf Jesuit beat Mishawaka Marion 44-31. Bremen beat South Central 35-0. Chicago Central beat South Bend Clay. I know, what a shock, 52-6. Columbia City beat Belmont 49-0. Culver Academy upset North Judson 26-22. Elkhart beat Hammond Morton 48-38. That's Elkhart's first win of the season. Fairfield beat Central Noble 35-6. The highest score in the area was Jimtown Osceola Grace. Jimtown beat Osceola Grace 75-7. Play a real team, Jimtown. John Glenn beat Angola 30-24. Knox improves to 3-0 with a 56-8 win over Culver. Michigan City beat Chesterton 28-6. Mishawaka dominated Northridge 37-16. Northwood also dominated Concord 45-14. Rochester beat Whitco 42-0. South Bend Riley beat Adams 22-12. South Bend St. Joe beat Washington 51-0. Tippecanoe Valley beat Twin Lakes 35-7. Valparaiso beat LaPorte 49-0. Warsaw beat Plymouth 41-7. And Wawasee beat Goshen 34-21. So some really impressive scores there. Unfortunately, Plymouth couldn't get it done against Warsaw, which is not surprising. However, Plymouth is still up in that series. It is now 52-50, and I believe 3, something like that. Pretty close. Plymouth still is ahead in that rivalry. Northwood just kicking the crap out of Concord. I didn't see it coming. However, Northwood is really good this year, and they are looking to make it a lot farther than they did last year when they ran into Northridge and got beat by Northridge. And that's going to be one of the biggest games in the area is Northwood-Northridge in that rivalry. I do believe this rivalry is this week. It is at Northwood. I would go to the game. If you don't have a team to cheer for, go to that game because you're going to see some really good high school football. This rivalry is fairly the rivalry itself is fairly new. However, the teams have played each other quite frequently. So the rivalry itself is new. Just the teams have met for quite a while. Jimtown needs to stop scheduling Osceola Grace. They've scheduled them for the past, I believe, 3 years and won every single time. Play a real school. Because, I mean, this is just ridiculous. You're kicking the crap out of kids who don't even get to play in sectionals. What's the point? What's the point? Schedule better non-conference games. Schedule tougher teams. To give your kids a challenge. Anyway, some other scores from around the state. Center Grove beat Louisville Trinity from Kentucky 34-7. Crown Point just dominated Maryville 39-6. East Central beat perennial powerhouse Cincinnati Moeller of Ohio 38-28. And Indianapolis Lutheran continues their winning streak by beating Triton Central 43-13. Indianapolis Lutheran is now 18-0 in the past 2 years and has not lost a game in 34 straight games. They are 34-0, haven't lost a game in 2 years, which is impressive. So now here's the Week 4 coaches poll. This is just the top 10 teams in each class. So we're going to start with 6A. The number 1 team is Ben Davis. They are 3-0. Center Grove is number 2 at 2-1. Brownsburg comes in at number 3, and they're 3-0. Number 4 is Hamilton Southeastern, and they're 3-0. Number 5 is Indianapolis Cathedral, and they're 2-1. Number 6 is Fishers, and they're 3-0. Number 7 is Westfield, and they're 3-0. Number 8 is Crown Point, and they're 3-0. Number 9 is Carmel, and they're 2-1. And number 10 is Carroll of Fort Wayne, and they're 2-1. In Class 5A, number 1 is Fort Wayne Snyder. They're 3-0. Number 2 is Bloomington South. They're 3-0. Number 3 is Whiteland, and they're 2-1. Number 4 is Valparaiso, and they're 2-1. Number 5 is Maryville, and they're 2-1. Number 6 is Plainfield. They're 3-0. Number 7, a local team, is Mishawaka. They're 2-1. Number 8 is Decatur Central. They're 2-1. Number 9 is Bloomington South. They're 3-0. And number 10 is Castle. They're 2-1. In Class 4A, number 1 is East Central. They're 3-0. Number 2 is Kokomo. They're 3-0. Number 3 is Evansville Rights. They're 3-0. Number 4 is Evansville Memorial. They're 3-0. Number 5, another local team, is Northwood, and they're 3-0. Number 6 is New Palestine, and they're 1-2. Number 7 is Greenfield Central. They're 3-0. Number 8, kind of a local team-ish, is Columbia City. They're 3-0. Number 9 is Indianapolis Roncalli. Then they're 1-2. And number 10 is Brebeuf Jesuit, and they're 2-1. In 3A is number 1, Indianapolis Bishop Chatard. They're 3-0. Number 2 is Guerin Catholic. They're 3-0. Number 3 is Lawrenceburg. They're 2-1. Number 4 is West Lafayette. They're 2-1. Number 5 is Gibson Southern. They're 2-1. Number 6 is Hanover Central. They're 3-0. Number 7 is Western Boone, and they're 3-0. Number 8 is Heritage Hills. They're 3-0. Number 9 is Tri-West. They're 2-1. And number 10 is Oak Hill. They're 3-0. In 2A, number 1 is Indianapolis Cecina Memorial. They're 3-0. Number 2 is Brownstown Central. They're 3-0. Coming in at number 3, which is very surprising to me anyway, is LaVille. They are 3-0. LaVille is back up to the top 5 for the second time in a year, where LaVille was ranked, I believe, almost in the top 5 all year last year. If I do believe. They finished number 2 in the rankings. They weren't number 1. I know they didn't finish number 1, but they did finish, I believe, number 2 in the rankings. Number 4 is Triton Central. They're 2-1. Number 5 is Evansville Mater Dei. They're 1-2. Number 6 is Bluffton. They're 3-0. Number 7 is Eastbrook. They're 2-0. Number 8 is Linton Stockton. They're 2-1. Number 9 is Andrean. They should be a 3A school, but they keep their enrollment down just so they can be a 2A school. However, they will move up with tournament success factor kicking in. They should anyway. Andrean's 1-2. They're ranked 9th, by the way. And number 10 is North Posey, and they're 3-0. And finally, in Class 1A, Indianapolis Lutheran is 3-0. They are number 1. Number 2 is Adams Central. They are 3-0. Number 3 is Carroll of Flora. They are 3-0. Number 4 is South Putnam. They are 3-0. Number 5 is Providence. They are 3-0. That is high school, not college, by the way. Number 6 is North Judson. They are 2-1. Number 7 is Park Tudor. They are 3-0. Number 8 is Sheridan. They are 2-1. Number 9 is North Decatur. They are 2-1. And number 10 is Clinton Prairie. They are 3-0. So that will wrap up the high school football recap from last week. Now we're going to move on to the Notre Dame-Tennessee State game. This is a game that I went to, had free tickets, so couldn't pass it up. So number 13 Notre Dame won easily in their home opener. They beat Tennessee State by the score of 56-3. The Irish were scoring early and scoring often against the Tigers. Sam Hartman looked all the part again in this game, going 14 of 17 for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was good to see Peanut Butter and Angeli. Steve Angeli, the backup quarterback to Sam Hartman, got in the game, and he looked good too, throwing 8 completions of 11 for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So both Hartman and Angeli threw 4 touchdowns combined, which is just impressive. The rushing attack for Notre Dame was the focal point all day. Audric Estime had 13 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. Jeremiah Love had 5 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. Receivers, Jaden Thomas and Mitchell Evans led the way with 4 receptions and had 123 yards between the two. Jaden Thomas had 62, and Mitchell Evans had 61. Jadarian Price had 2 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. Local players Chase Ketterer and Justin Fisher also got in the game for Notre Dame. Chase Ketterer is from New Prairie, and Justin Fisher is from Mishawaka. So it was cool to see both of those kids get in the game, especially Chase Ketterer. Chase Ketterer had a really, really, really tough week last week, as he was not really tough, but he was the scout quarterback last week for Navy, and he was the one getting the starting defense ready to face Navy, and he did one heck of a job. Congrats to him for getting some playing time in this game too. You never know when he's going to be actually needed in the game. You never know. It was good, obviously, in this game. It's just kind of mop-up duty and stuff like that. But he got in the game. He got in. And Ketterer finished. He got in the stat book. He got 1 reception for 4 yards. So it was official that Ketterer got in the game. Even though we know Justin Fisher got in the game, Stat-wise, we don't know. But score breakdown of this game. First quarter score was 7-3 Notre Dame. This was still Notre Dame having kind of a Navy hangover, if you will, because the Notre Dame defense was so focused on preparing for Navy and playing Navy for Navy that they weren't really ready for regular offenses. And Tennessee State kind of not really threw the kitchen sink at them, but the defense was definitely not prepared. They were prepared. They just didn't execute the way that they needed to. That's the better word. They didn't execute the way that they needed to and allowed Tennessee State to move the ball a little bit more than what people would have wanted. But that all changed very quickly. Second quarter was all Notre Dame, and basically the rest of the game too. Let's just be honest. Second quarter, Notre Dame put up 28 points. This is the most points in a quarter that Notre Dame has scored since the Shamrock Series of 2021 when they played Wisconsin, and they put up 31 points in that game, going on to win easily against Wisconsin. I think it was 41-14. This made it 35-3 at halftime. Third quarter, Notre Dame put up 14 points, all towards the end of the quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame put up a touchdown. That all adds up to 56-3. And we'll just go over some of these stats for different positions. We'll first start off with the quarterbacks passing stats. Sam Hartman, 14-17, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also finished with 4 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown. So 3 touchdowns combined for Sam Hartman. Steve Angeli finished 8 of 11 for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then third-string quarterback Kenny Minchie got in the game, went 2 for 2 for 12 yards. Audric Estime got in the game. Obviously he got in the game. Audric Estime finished the game with 13 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. Also had 1 reception for 7 yards. Jeremiah Love finished with 5 carries, 47 yards and a touchdown. Also had 1 reception for 4 yards as well. Jabron Payne had 6 carries for 27 yards. Also had 2 receptions for 45 yards and a touchdown. And then Jadarian Price had 2 carries for 5 yards and also had 2 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. So just balanced right there, man. Just the rushing attack and the running backs being used as receivers was a good mix-up as well, especially Price and Payne. They are both fast and they are physical. So it was good to see them get out in space and get the ball and do something with it. Receiving-wise, Jaden Thomas had 4 receptions for 62 yards. Mitchell Evans had 4 receptions for 61 yards. Rico Flores had 2 receptions for 31 yards. Jaden Greathouse had 2 receptions for 30 yards. And Chris Tyree had 1 reception for 24 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, this is not everybody, by the way. Not everyone is listed here. I just picked the names and the stats that looked the best to me anyway. Defensively, Howard Cross finished with 6 total tackles, 2 solo, and 1 pass deflection. J.D. Bertrand finished with 5 tackles, 3 solo, and 1 tackle for loss. Jason Onye had 5 tackles, 2 solo. Javonte Jean-Baptiste had 3 tackles, 2 solo. And Jordan Patello had 2 tackles, 2 solo, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. And then team stats here for both teams. We'll do the Irish first. The Irish finished with 558 total yards, 336 passing yards, 221 rushing yards. That's actually 557, by the way, not 558. That's 557. 557 total yards, 336 passing, 221 yards rushing. They had 27 first downs, 33 tackles, just 1 turnover, and had the ball for over 34 minutes at 34-13. Total yards for Tennessee State was at 132, passing yards 67, rushing yards 85, first downs 11, finished with 45 tackles, had 2 turnovers, and time of possession was 25-47. Then some other scores from around college football that really caught my eye. Biggest one that I saw was Duke upsetting number 9 Clemson 28-7. This is both good and bad for Notre Dame. It's bad because Notre Dame plays Clemson. However, it's good because Notre Dame plays Duke. So if Duke can continue winning, this is going to be a really good game against Duke. It is at Duke, and if Notre Dame can get that, I think that's a good resume-building win for Notre Dame right there. If they do go undefeated or have 1 loss at the end of the year. If they can get that win and they beat Clemson too, that's another resume-building win. It is at Clemson. Clemson is a hard place to play, so that's another good resume-building win right there. I really feel confident a little bit that Notre Dame can beat both teams, that we have the team to do it. This is the team to do it right here. Back to other scores. Colorado beat TCU 45-42. Fresno State beat Purdue. Man, dude. 39-35 Purdue. What are you doing? Texas State beat Baylor in an upset 42-31. North Carolina handled business against their rivals South Carolina 31-17. Wyoming got a really, really good win against Texas Tech. Well, not really good, but upset win against Texas Tech 35-33. Florida State dominated LSU in the second half to go on to win 45-24. And Penn State handled business against West Virginia 38-15. And the recent AP Top 25 has come out as well, and so we'll give that as well. At number 1 is Georgia. They're 1-0. Number 2 is Michigan. They are also 1-0. Number 3 is Alabama. They are 1-0. Number 4 is Florida State. They are 1-0. Number 5 is Ohio State. They are 1-0. This looks good for Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays them in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And number 6 is USC. They are 2-0. Ugh. Number 7 is Penn State. They are 1-0. Number 8 is Washington. They are 1-0. Number 9 is Tennessee. They are 1-0. Notre Dame comes in at number 10 at 2-0. Number 11 is Texas. They are 1-0. Number 12 is Utah. They are 1-0. Number 13 is Oregon. They are 1-0. Number 14 is LSU. They are 1-0. Number 15 is LSU is 0-1, my bad. Number 15 is Kansas State. They are 1-0. Number 16 is Oregon State. They are 1-0. Number 17 is North Carolina. They are 1-0. Number 18 is Oklahoma. They are 1-0. Number 19 is Wisconsin. They are 1-0. Number 20 is Ole Miss. They are 1-0. Number 21 is Duke. They are 1-0, which looks good for Notre Dame. Number 22 is Colorado. They are 1-0. Number 23 is Clemson. They are 1-0. Is Texas A&M, my bad, not Clemson. Texas A&M, they are 1-0. Number 24 is Tulane. They are 1-0. Now Clemson comes in at 25th at 0-1. So in the rankings, Notre Dame plays 4 of the 4 teams ranked in the first AP Top 25. Granted, this is the first ranking of the AP Top 25. Doesn't mean a thing until about week 6. That's when rankings actually start to be serious. And then we also have the college football playoff rankings coming out at about that time, too. So, really, the AP poll really doesn't matter. Neither does the coaches poll. Really, no poll matters until the first ranking of the college football playoff. That's the only poll that really matters. So, with that, Notre Dame's next game will be at North Carolina. Notre Dame is favored by 7.5 points. I do think Notre Dame's going to get this win. Notre Dame will make it, will make the score seem like it was easier than what it was. I think North Carolina State is going to give Notre Dame some fits in the first half. But I think in the second half, I think Notre Dame is going to start to exude their dominance in the game, and they're going to go on to win. I think it's going to be 35-17. I think it's going to be a close first half. I believe it to be like 21-17 at halftime, and then Notre Dame comes out. Their defense takes over the game, and then offensively, Sam Hartman starts to click, and they get it going, and they score a couple touchdowns to put the game out of reach at 35-17, and I think that's what the final score is going to be in the game. We will also have our weekly look into teams playing high school football. That will be our next episode, so stay tuned for that. We'll also have more on Notre Dame, NC State as well in that next episode, so tune in for that. Other than that, this is Kenny Cramer signing off. Have a good day, y'all.
Hey guys, it's Kenny, host of The Good Fight. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to hear more, you can check out our website at thelugnutspodcastgroup.com for all information related to the podcast and where to listen to us. You can also follow the Patreon page for exclusive benefits for the show. Join us next time for The Good Fight.